our training. And then just real quick, I do have a sign-in sheet for everyone. So I'll drop that in the chat. And then go ahead and make sure that you take the time to fill that out. And then I will, once we get into the training, I do have one of our student staff members on with us as well. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat at any point, and we'll go and I can stop and answer those questions for you as we go. Okay, and everybody should be able to see this, hopefully. But like I said, my name is Katrina. I'm the administrative assistant with the Office of Student Involvement, and I work in our business center. And welcome tonight to our finance management and how to spend club funds training. Introduction. So this training will prepare club officers to manage their club funds through Cat Life and learn the OSI Business Center's policy and procedures for purchasing and travel. Just some things that we'll go over this evening: club accounts and deposits, spending club funds, travel, and interdepartment recharges. All club accounts collecting money can request a club agency account by contacting OSI front desk email. So you can always reach out to us for actually any inquiry at osifrontdesk@ucmerced.edu. This account will be seen on your club's Cat Life page under the Finance tab. If your club receives funding from associated students, that funding will be in a separate account under your Finance tab. So you do have typically your club agency account, which is your club's money. And then if you've been awarded funding from ASUCM, that'll show up under a different line from the finance portion of Cat Life. Club deposits. To deposit cash or checks into your club account, bring the deposit to the OSI front desk staff, and a ServiceNow ticket will be submitted to the cashier's office. Please make sure all checks for deposits are made payable to the UC regents. And then after depositing the funds, the cashier will give you a receipt for your records, and we'll email a receipt to our office for your file so that we can update your account on Cat Life. So if you are doing any local fundraising or receive a donation and you do expect receiving a check, just let them know to have the check made payable to the UC regents. And then if they want, or it is advised in the memo line, that you go ahead and have them write like your club's name so we know who that check is for. So some guidelines just to know when regarding cash handling. Cash handling should always be cash should always be counted with 2 people present. So if you're coming down to make a deposit, 2 people from the club should come down and do that. Each group should have 1 designated person responsible for handling cash and checks. Typically, it's going to be your club's treasurer. And then whenever possible, be prepared to give receipts for any cash received. Deposit cash and checks by 4 p.m. of the day collected or the next business day. Then you want to make sure that you're keeping your funds in a lock protected cash box until you're able to make a deposit. And clubs collecting a large amount of dues can do so by online payment through the cashier's office. So a couple of things. When you do come down to make a deposit, you can go ahead and come to our office, like I said, with 2 people, and we create a ServiceNow ticket to the cashier's office on your behalf. And then we'll go ahead and it gets sent to them automatically through their online portal. And so you can actually just walk over there. They're located in the new administration building, and their hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4:30 p.m. They do close for lunch from noon to 12:30. And then on Friday, their hours are 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And I'm going to stop right there because I think we have a couple of questions. Just one moment.
My tab is not working because I have your phone.
Okay. If someone is not able to make tonight's session, we will be recording this, or we are recording this, and we will be posting it for members to view. And then also some guidelines regarding cash handling. If you are coming onto campus with a large amount of cash deposit, say it's $2,500 or more, you'd actually need to notify our campus PD ahead of time before coming to campus with that large amount, and let them know when you're coming to campus, where you'll be parking, and they'll actually have to meet you in the parking lot and escort you to our office and escort you to cashier's office. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. Doesn't happen too often, but sometimes it does. So I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of those guidelines. And then regarding dues, if you are collecting a large amount of dues, you can reach out to our office and we could get you set up so that members can pay dues through My Bill. And I think someone has a question regarding where the previous sessions, I'm not sure what you're asking there, previous sessions, if they are recorded yet. Okay, no, those ones have not been posted yet, I believe. So this is the first, for the finance portion, this is the first one that we're recording and we'll be posting later. And the other ones, I didn't do those trainings, so I'm not sure what their timeline is around posting. But we could definitely, you can reach out to us through email. Okay, moving on. So club funds versus ASUCM funds. When ASUCM awards your club funds through the ASUCM budget proposal process, Senator bill, or the Interclub Council, those funds do not go into your club's account. The funds will be spent out of ASUCM's account on your club's behalf. And then if your club does not use all the funds that have been awarded, the clubs will go back to the ASUCM general fund. So some things to kind of keep in mind there. If you are needing help, funding an event or a conference, something like that, definitely reach out to ASUCM, and that could be awarded to you through a Senator bill or the Interclub Council, ICC. But also keep in mind that budget call does typically happen in February. So if you're wanting to prepare for the next academic year, I would definitely just keep an eye on notifications from ASUCM, or even, stop by their office and get some information. They're located at Granite Pass 174. And then if the funds were for an event, and typically what you're asking is an estimate. If you don't end up spending all the money, it doesn't roll over. It'll just go back to ASUCM. And then we'll go into how you can spend club funds. A big thing when you're spending club funds, you'll want to be sure to follow OSI's purchasing timeline to ensure your expenditure request can be processed in time for your event. And that you can also receive items in time. And then before any expenditure request can be submitted for an event or travel currently as well, an event notification must be submitted in Cat Life for review. So typically, if I see something that's tied to an event or to travel, I will connect with my colleagues to ask if if they had received an event request and if that's been reviewed and approved, and if I can move forward. If not, I'll notify the person that submitted the request and ask them to follow those proper steps. So always making sure that you're giving yourself enough time for planning. And then here's just a brief overview of our timeline. And this is actually found on our website. So making sure, again, that you're sticking to these is really imperative. Okay, so the first way that you can purchase something would be through a purchase order. A purchase order is a means the university uses to order supplies and services through an accounts payable system. Approved vendors receive a specific numbered purchase order, which is a promise to pay the vendor within 60 days from the expenditure date. So usually we'll pay them the university will pay a vendor within 60 days of receiving the invoice, or if there's a service after the service has been provided. If you receive a quote or an estimate from the vendor, attach it to the expenditure request. After items are purchased, the vendor will either give you an invoice or bill the university directly. And then if your event involves food, this is just across the board, you'll want to submit a flyer or an agenda as well as an attendee list with your request. And then sometimes we have clubs that are ordering, different types of apparel, and maybe they are wanting to use the university logo. If that's the case, just be aware that the university logo is trademarked and cannot be used by third-party vendors unless authorized by the UC. And then here is a master list that we do have of current vendors, and most of these are local vendors that are able to use our UC logo. And then again, if anybody is wanting to find this presentation at a later point, we will post it on our website. We'll have that information. And then authorizing new vendors. So maybe you are wanting to use a local vendor in town for purchasing items. They might have been an existing vendor prior, but we did have some updates regarding our purchasing systems. So we're finding out that not all previous vendors were transferred over. So if that's the case, we can submit a new vendor request or new vendor setup request to procurement, and they'll get that vendor set up for you. And that will also be typically if you're having like a guest speaker or performer at an event, they'll need to go through this process as well, because typically those are kind of one-off situations. They probably previously hadn't done business with us. And it is on that business or entity to, once they receive the information from the university, that they fill that out in a timely manner. All right, so procurement cards. We have several credit cards that can be used to make purchases. Mostly we use these for online orders. In order to use credit card for purchase, you'll want to submit a procurement card expenditure request. Be sure to provide the website address and screenshot of your shopping cart to the purchase request. And then you may have to make an appointment with us to make your online purchase in person as well. So sometimes we're helping you register for a conference, and you might have like specific login credentials, or you might be registering a large group. We'll actually coordinate with you at a time where you can come down to our office with your laptop and get everything kind of ready to make that final purchase. And then when you're ready to go, we'll just go ahead and enter our credit card info for you, so we can make that purchase for you on your behalf. Declining balance cards. So we have a few declining cards available for students to check out for purchases needed in town. And these are for, stores that don't accept a purchase order. Maybe you're wanting to go to Dollar Tree, a local grocery store, Target, Walmart, Michael's, something like that. A declining credit card expenditure request must be submitted in CatLife, then arrange an appointment with OSI for pickup. So typically when we do get those, we'll reach out to the requester and ask like, hey, when are you going to go do your shopping? And what day do you need to pick up the card then? And we can coordinate. And then when you come into the office, you'll sign a responsibility agreement, and we'll need to return the card and all the receipts by the next business day. And these cards on a first come basis. So we only have so many, and they decline over a period of time. So just want to make sure that you do plan accordingly and allow yourself enough time to make purchases. So, and again, the card typically when you pick it up, you're either making your purchases that day or maybe the following day, but the card is due the following business day. If you do pick the card up on a Friday, we're not open on the weekend, so it would have to be due back on Monday. The person that's going to be doing the purchasing should be the person that's picking up the card. The card shouldn't be picked up by one person and handed off to somebody else, because then things can kind of get lost that way, and I don't know who it was passed off to. And if there's missing receipts, then I don't know who I need to get in touch with to find those receipts. So please keep that in mind. And also, like I said, the declining cards are used to make purchases in town. They're not to make purchases online. That's why we have our procurement cards. And they're not to make purchases for like any sort of rental or service agreement. So you shouldn't go rent a U-Haul or a rental vehicle of any sort, or rent any sort of venue with these credit card or with these declining cards. If that's something like that is needed, always have a conversation with us first, and we can go around like best practices, but just keep those things in mind. I know since when we last academic year, when we were remote, and we're still seeing it a lot this year, is clubs have been, as a participation incentive, have been doing gift cards, which is totally fine. But if you're wanting to go purchase gift cards in town with a declining card, that's okay. We just need to know who the card has actually been given to. So just keep that in mind. If you are planning on purchasing a gift card, make sure that's noted in your request as well. There is a form that is needed to be completed with information for tax purposes. So for travel, hotel arrangements, make a reservation with a hotel of your choice and you'll hold it with your personal credit card. And then what you want to do is ask the hotel for an electric copy of the hotel reservation. Ask the hotel for a credit card authorization form for the UC to pay for the room and taxes only. The personal credit card will stay on file for incidentals. So the university will only pay for room and taxes. So what incidentals are going to be is anything, if there was any damage done to the room, or if there's any sort of like mini refrigerator that you take from, the university won't pay for those types of things. So you, the person whose card is on file, would pick up those charges. When doing this type of request, you'll want to provide a list of student room assignments using the student group lodging form, and that's also found on our website. You'll attach all 3 items to the Cat Life expenditure request. And then before leaving the hotel, you want to ask the front desk for a copy of the portfolio or the bill. And in air travel, allow at least 5 weeks to make arrangements. You'll submit a travel expenditure request in Cat Life. Be sure to fill out a flight request form for each person traveling. A flight purchase with personal funds can be reimbursed. However, we cannot reimburse for travel package deals. So we'll need to see a breakdown like of all segments of that travel to be reimbursed. So flight, hotel, rental car must have a tax breakdown to be reimbursed. And then all travels will sign documentation that cancellations are to be reimbursed by the traveler. With the flight request form, it's also found on our website as well. Each traveler would have to fill one out. And when they are filling out, they do have to note their legal name as it appears on their ID or passport. So that's important. In rental vehicles, students must be approved to rent vehicles through campus. To get approved, you want to fill out the DMV pull notice form and bring it to the OSI Business Center, along with your driver's license. The process takes several days to complete, so plan ahead. And then for this, you'll save all gas receipts to submit for reimbursement. So if we do a rental car on your behalf, mileage isn't reimbursed, it's gas that's reimbursed. So just make sure that you do save those receipts so you can be reimbursed for that. The DMV pull notice form, it can take about, I want to say 3 to 5 business days to get approval. So just making sure that you're allowing enough time to have that processed, as well as time for making your rental car reservation. Reimbursable travel expenses. If a purchase order cannot be used, hotel accommodations as well as meals are out of pocket and must be reimbursed after the travel. To submit any sort of reimbursement, a sponsored guest form must be submitted with your request. This also is found on our website. You must bring in the hotel bill with a $0 balance showing you paid the hotel. You'll submit a travel reimbursement in Cat Life and attach all justification for the trip. So for example, if you traveled for a conference, we must have an agenda from the conference as backup. Travelers using their own vehicle will be reimbursed for mileage, not gas. The current rate is 52 cents a mile. So you'll want to, what you can do for that type of mileage reimbursement is you can go like on Google Maps and put in your trip, like round trip, take a screenshot of that and attach it to the request. So we know, we can see the miles driven, and then based on the miles driven and the mileage rate, we'll go ahead and that'll help us calculate the amount. And then meals are only reimbursed if travel includes an overnight stay. You'll want to submit original itemized receipts. And then alcohol is not considered a part of the meal and cannot be reimbursed. Interdepartment recharges. Several departments on campus have been approved to be recharge units. Currently, they include catering, facilities, transportation and parking, mail or copy services, police and public safety, recreation, and the CAT card office. And if you receive like some type of quote or an email of verifying the items ordered, you'll attach that to the CAT Life expenditure request. Departments issuing the recharge will also ask us for your club's COA, which is like your club's account number, to verify that the funds are available. And that's information that we have, so we can help you relay that info to them. Performers, speakers, and facility use agreements. You'll want to complete a speaker or performer expenditure request in CAT Life. Be sure and attach the independent contractor packet along with resume and invoice from the speaker or performer. You'll want to plan ahead as contracts take time to complete and get signatures from both parties. We need the packet submitted at least 4 weeks prior to the performance date. And then if you're renting a facility, you'll want to provide the contract, but you don't sign anything, any type of contract that you receive from anyone. You don't want to sign the contract, and then that's holding you personally liable. That could be submitted with your request, and then our campus partners review that and sign on your club's behalf. Specifically for the performers or speakers, it does involve a lot of other campus partners. For instance, human resources, our contracts department, and procurement. And I can't speak on behalf of what their workload is like. So I don't want to put pressure on them to have to get something like this completed. So like I said, it can take up to 4 weeks to have that whole process approved. But if we're even allowed a little bit more time, that's even better. Something to remember with that is if you are having an event with a guest performer or speaker, and you want to advertise who's coming to your event, you can't do so until you have a contract. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So the sooner that those get in, the better. I would say 6 weeks is probably really ideal, but 4 weeks is the minimum. And we will help you through that process because it does involve a lot of moving parts. And I'm just going to kind of show you how you can create an expenditure request in CAT Life. So from your club's dashboard page, to the left, there's this little dollar sign that says finance. You'll want to click that. And then once you do, to the right-hand corner, you'll see this little create button with a drop down. Click on that and select expenditure. And then once you click that, it'll take you to the expenditure form and you'll start filling this out. You'll select, your club. You'll put your contact info. Important to know when your items are needed by, so we can get things processed in a timely manner. Let us know what funding you're using. So is this a club, you're paying with club funding or with ASUCM funding, and then the type of transaction it'll be. So you have your selections there for purchase order, procurement card, declining card, reimbursement, group hotel form, airline, vehicle rental, speaker or performer, and then campus recharge. When you scroll down to a little bit more on this form, there's a section that says budget. And then that's where you'll actually just click in there and you'll select where the funds are being used from. So that is our presentation, and I will leave it open for questions. If you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I will put the attendee list again. Please take the time to fill that out. That's in the chat as well. I will also put my email address. So if you want to reach out to me directly, you can. And I'll also include our front desk email as well. So if ever I am out of the office, someone from our team will be notified if you have an inquiry. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Again, if you can't think of any questions right now, that's fine. I know it's a lot of information. And sometimes we don't think about these things until we're actually doing the process. So feel free to reach out at any point and we're more than happy to help you out. All right, have a great weekend. I'm sure, I know we have a day off